Welcome into the Cory Sanding Show, the revamped version this time around. Apologize for the inconvenience earlier. We're dealing with a little bit of technical difficulties, but we're back up and running. As you all know, as you may well noticed already, I'm in a new setting. It's been a while since I've talked to most of you. I think the Ravens were actually still mathematically alive for the playoffs the last time we spoke. So we're going to get into a lot of off-season football, a lot of Super Bowl reaction, delayed Super Bowl reaction. Off-season is in the Ravens' brand new coaching staff that I've not yet got to react to on air. Those of you that follow me on Twitter, obviously you've seen my reaction over time in Facebook as well. But, it's a new day. It's a new age. We've got a new website coming. We've got a new format. We have a new logo. And we have a new slate. As you all noticed, if you checked out the channel, all the videos are gone. Figured it was just time to start with something fresh. Color scheme's new, everything's new, and we're going to get into a lot of stuff. But first and foremost, today's episode, as you all know, we can't get into it without paying the bills, is brought to you by VIP Play. For those of you that don't know, VIP Play is the new sportsbook app here in Tennessee. Use code CoryTN when you sign up and make your first bet of $20 to get $100 in bonus bets for free, win or loss. Go on there and do it. When football season's over, we still got to get our bets in. I think I've become as bad as anyone, and I'm not promoting degenerate activity. But be sure to use the code CoryTN on your first bet of $20. You get $100 in bonus bets, and that's the VIP Play app. Man, you can tell it's been a while since I've been on air. Heaven help me. Don't worry, I'll get the hang of it. I'll get the hang of it real soon. But a lot's happened since then. Ravens going in a whole different direction. The Bills have a new head coach. It's been a whirlwind. I really, 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 really wish that I wasn't moving, and I really, 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 really wish that I didn't decide to revamp this whole podcast at the most inopportune time. But, timing, life happens. So here we are, 11 different head coaches, and the Ravens are one of them. And we're going to get into that coaching staff right now. As you all know, Ravens bring in Jesse Minter, former Chargers defensive coordinator, as head coach. Whole revamped staff. John Harbaugh shown the door after 18 years. Get one of the cats out of the window. Shown the door after 18 years after Tyler Loop's missed 44-yard field goal ended the Ravens season. It was an up-and-down season that, quite frankly, I was relieved to have behind me. Obviously, you always want to get in the dance and have a chance at the end, but this Ravens team just couldn't build any positive momentum and couldn't sustain it. 5-game winning streak obviously came against an inferior competition. That showed at the end of the year. They had so many games they could have won this year. Double-digit leads blown. Uncharacteristic unforced error turnovers here. Derrick Henry, I could get into it, but am I thankful? Absolutely yes, because it brought us this change, new, young, innovated. I cannot tell you how crazy it is to say that the Ravens offensive coordinator is younger than me. Just by a couple months, but he's younger than me. Coming from Ben Johnson's staff in Chicago, Declan Doyle, new Ravens offensive coordinator. Very young, very innovative, very impressive in his interview, according to Jesse Minter, at least. That's why he was ultimately hired. We heard names like Cliff Kingsbury thrown out there, possibly Mike McDaniel, but obviously he committed to the Chargers rather early once he realized that he wasn't going to want to go to be, Arizona or Vegas' head coach. Coming from the McVay, Ben Johnson tree, Shanahan tree, that's, I think, the guy that you had to go with. I was either on the Shieldhouse train, I was on the Declan Doyle train, later on, once it got reported that he had turned down the Eagles play caller position to remain with Chicago, where he wasn't calling the plays. It was Ben Johnson who was calling them come game day, and ultimately, I guess, getting the chance to call plays for 3-time MVP Lamar Jackson. And yes, I said 3-time. It was too good to pass up. So then brings me to defensive coordinator. Anthony Weaver's back. After, obviously the past 2 seasons with Zach Orr's putrid defense. Anthony Weaver's back at the helm. Well, he's at the helm for the first time in a non-defensive play calling position. That was, I think, what struck me the most. Is we all know new Ravens head coach Jesse Minter is going to be calling the plays. One of the best DCs in the NFL, one of the best DCs in college football over the past 5 years. Won a national championship at Michigan. Turned the Chargers around into the number one defense the past 2 years. Well, not both years, but top 10 and number one defense. Jesse Minter is exactly the breath of fresh air that the Ravens need on defense, because the last 5 years, really, going back 6, honestly, even in the seasons that the Ravens captured home field advantage in the 1 seed, what were the Ravens known for? Blowing leads, not being able to finish off on defense, and that starts with the defensive play caller. You had Mike Macdonald for a year and a half, practically 2 years. He left, went to Seattle, 2 years. He's a Super Bowl champ, and we'll get to that here in a few. Then you promote Zach Orr from within. Anthony Weaver's one of the guys you could have promoted at that time. John Harbaugh chose Zach Orr, and at the time, could you really blame him? Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith had just come off of arguably the best seasons of their careers. They were both all-pro selections, and Patrick Queen was talk about a turnaround. From the time Roquan Smith got to Baltimore, Patrick Queen played like an all-pro. And Zach Orr so happened to be the linebackers coach at that time, too. So, yeah, is there inklings to say I couldn't really blame John at the time? No, but at the same time, Anthony Weaver was in the building for the taking. Denard Wilson was in the building for the taking. And he ended up going with the wrong guy. And John Harbaugh, to this day, is trying to defend that decision, even in going in his last round, I guess, with local Baltimore media before he said sayonara for the bright lights of New York City or East Rutherford, whichever way you want to look at it. So Jesse Minter, though, is going to be calling the defense. Very relieved to hear that as a Ravens fan, first and foremost, because I can't wait to see what type of schemes he draws up. He's from that same Mike Macdonald tree, too. Now, they're not one and the same. They both run a different style of defense. You see more quarters with Jesse Minter, more cover 3 safety over the top with Mike Macdonald. Those are their base defensive schemes. But Mike Macdonald's the first defensive play calling head coach to take home a Super Bowl, and he did it in 2 seasons, and Sam Darnold was his quarterback. Not to sell Sam Darnold short, but he ain't an MVP and he ain't Lamar Jackson. As many of the Ravens fans, we've been talking about it all offseason. Man, Mike Mack was the one that got away. But now we finally have a guy that could be the next Mike Mack. And I love the coaching staff he's put together. Great mix of experience. Joe Lombardi is coming on as an offensive assistant practically. Rick Minter, Jesse's father, will be a defensive analyst with the youth and invigor. Anthony Weaver's a great mix of that. Declan Doyle, youth, creativity. That's what Jesse Minter said he wanted in an offensive coordinator, to build an offense around what he called, and what a lot of people call, the best player on the planet, which is number 8 in purple, but that's neither here nor there. I'm looking forward to it. It's a great, great, great big sigh of relief for us, for Ravens fans that have gone the last decade hearing the same old Harbaugh-isms, as we call them. I mean, come on. And we do have so just so you all know that I'm not kidding. In the audience is a Study Boy. You can go buy one of his cards, Study Boy cards, on eBay, I believe. Is that right? He won $400 from the Falcons last 2 games on my code. So just so you know, it works. Not just blowing smoke. Back to what I was talking about, though, with the Ravens. John Harbaugh leaves, goes to New York. And John Harbaugh has had a lot of the same old, same old. And what do I mean by that? Look at his coaching staff. Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator. I mean, I think there's a direct correlation to, Patrick Mahomes' decline the last 3 years and Matt Nagy being the offensive coordinator in Kansas City. Just saying. We all remember Matt Nagy's lone stint as a head coach in Chicago. Didn't end very well. John Harbaugh, banking on Todd Monken coming to New York with him. Todd Monken gets the Cleveland job unexpectedly. And John Harbaugh has no backup plan. It's inexcusable. I get loyalty, but loyalty doesn't exist in professional sports, especially nowadays. He has to land on Matt Nagy as Jackson Dart's next offensive coordinator. Good luck with that, John. And then, same old defiant Harbaugh. He was obviously did a Baltimore media tour really last week. Just talking with a few people, local media, Ryan Ripken show, Glenn Clark, who were the clip we're about to play, because Glenn Clark asked him, because John's like, yeah, I was right about Mike McDonald, and I'll be right about Zach Orr too. It's always he's getting a little defiant there after expressing some gratitude, reflecting on his time, with the Ravens, 18 years. It's unheard of. It probably will never happen again in the NFL in my lifetime, to say the least. But then Glenn pressed him. Why isn't Zach Orr your defensive coordinator in New York? What do you mean by that? And John Harbaugh was as defiant as ever. And we're going to go ahead and listen to what John had to say and then react on the other side.
How similar did you find Jesse and Mike to be, knowing them both as well as you do?
Yeah, I thought they were both on the same track, same level, of all the things you're talking about, the emotional intelligence and just being good guys, smart guys, tough guys, demanding, hold people accountable, etc. All the great things that great coaches do. I saw in both those two guys. I remember people wanted to run Mike out. People didn't even want me to hire Mike when I first did it. People in Baltimore. You might have been on that train. I can't remember.
The Dolphins game was a little questionable, Joe. There were some things that we were
saying. So you're saying you were wrong, and I appreciate you saying you were wrong at the time because you were proven wrong, and that's okay because that's a moment in time. And I was right, and I was proven right, and I was proven right about Jesse too, and I'll stand by that because I know what a good coach looks like when I see it, and I'll be proven right about Zach Orr too. You'll see. So I'm proud of all those guys, and those guys are great coaches in their own right, and they deserve the credit for it. But I'm also willing to say, you know what? I'm kind of proud of that. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm proud of those guys, and I'm proud of what they've accomplished.
Can I ask you about Zach as you brought him up, right? Because somebody would say, if that's the case, why isn't he your defensive coordinator in New York?
Sometimes it's time to change, and Zach and I have had those conversations, and we both felt it'd be best for him, best for him to go get the next opportunity to grow in a different way. So he gets a chance to grow in a different way. And I think it's going to be great for him to get a chance to do that, and it's going to be positive. So there's your answer to your criticism or whatever it might be.
Would that have been the case if you had stayed in Baltimore?
I don't know. I didn't stay in Baltimore, so it doesn't matter.
There we are. There you have it. That's who he has turned into the last 6-7 years. That's one reason why the Ravens fans were sick of him. Great coach. He's going to wear a gold jacket one day. He's going to give a speech in Canton. But it comes to a point in time where it's, what have you done for me lately? John Harbaugh, after making 3 AFC championship games in his first 5 years with Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, Saloni Nada, Hall of Fame defense. Chris McAllister, Lardarius Webb in his prime was pretty damn good. He's just so defiant and so. I mean, you heard it. Oh, so you were wrong. So you admit you were wrong. And then a perfect follow-up question. I'd have done the same thing if I was still a reporter. Why isn't he your DC then, if that was the case? And it turns out, if it was reported as either today or yesterday, that Jesse Minter had a big say in John hiring Denard Wilson as the Giants DC because Jesse Minter recommended him. I think what Jesse Minter says about the defensive side of the football carries weight with people. I mean, look what he did with the Chargers. I mean, Odafe Owe had no sacks in 5 games with the Ravens. Look how he finished the season with the Chargers. And I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, it's perfect. Let's bring him back. It's a great reunion. No, I think I'd rather, if he wants to come back, great. But do I want to spend a load of money on Odafe Owe? No. Do I think he'd probably thrive better in Jesse Minter's system? Yes. And as unfair as it may sound, because it's going to be, this is not the John Harbaugh Ravens anymore, and a lot of people have to get that through their heads, including yours truly. I just had enough of him in purple. I really did. A lot of you in the Ravens fan circles, we probably call him Mr. Almost Sack. Just couldn't finish it. Couldn't ever finish the plays. Even last year when he had 10 sacks for the first time of his career in his 5th season. And granted, he had a hellacious performance in the playoff in their wild card playoff loss. He had 3 sacks. Ultimately, they didn't win the game, but that's neither here nor there. Obviously, the Ravens are going to introduce these new coaches next week. Going to be at a press conference streaming live on the Ravens YouTube channel February 18th at 11 a.m. Obviously, I'll have reaction to that on Thursday night on the show as well. When we do stream, actually at the scheduled time that we're supposed to. Like I said, today is a new studio and a new feeling and whatnot. And we're still going to be moving stuff around behind me and whatnot to get this absolutely perfect. But we're almost there, and we had to get started some way, somehow. And obviously, the Ravens will introduce their new coordinators, Anthony Levine, co-cap, special teams coordinator. Super proud of him. Obviously, Anthony Weaver, former Raven. Jesse Minter, former Raven, even not as a player, he never played. And then Declan Doyle, the young, innovative offensive coordinator that coached under Ben Johnson in Chicago last year. May have been the best offense in Bears history. That's not saying much, but they were maybe one dumb call, one play away from going to the NFC Championship game. And it's crazy enough as it sounds, they made the play to tie the unbelievable game-saving play. Usually the team that makes that play, especially at home, goes on to win in overtime. They just didn't. Because Caleb Williams, instead of dinking and dunking, decided to take a shot. And we know Caleb. He's a gunslinger. But we'll see what they have to say. I'm really intrigued. Anthony Weaver, I believe, has already gone on the Ravens team podcast. But I'm really intrigued to see what they have to say, especially Declan Doyle. I'm really intrigued to pick his brain to see how much conversation, if any, he's had with Lamar. Obviously, we know Lamar's extension, or these extension talks over the next few weeks are going to be very, very vital to the Ravens offseason. They have to get Lamar extended, get that cap number down. That way, and who knows what's going to happen with Nnamdi Madubuike. Obviously, this press conference isn't going to give us any light on those answers, but at the same time, the next few weeks is going to determine a lot about this offseason for the Ravens. Because if Nnamdi's, heaven forbid, his playing days are over, then you need to get someone else at nose tackle. You need to get who are we going to do that? Are they going to do that in the draft? Are they going to address that in free agency? Are we not? Are we going to try? You have to try. And one thing I have to make clear, and this is going to sound like a pipe dream to some, but I could not be more serious when I say this. The Ravens, oh, heaven help me. The Ravens really, really need to try to take a swing at Max Crosby this offseason. They have to. You have to start doing things differently. You brought in a new staff that's going to do things differently. And Eric DeCosta, I'm looking at you. You got to do things differently too. Wasn't just the coaching staff that failed the last few years. You did with your roster construction as well. Not investing enough in the trenches, banking too much on Daniel Falalele and Andrew Voorhees to develop, and heaven knows we all saw that same old song and dance this last year. And the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks leading up to the new league year are going to be critical. And we'll see where it goes. But you have to take a swing at Max Crosby. You have to get Lamar extended. You cannot lose Tyler Linderbaum. Ravens fans, don't forget what it was like rotating in and out of centers for years and years after Matt Burke retired. We don't want that again, do we? Build in the trenches. Linderbaum and Stanley are the Ravens' only two elite options on the offense, or elite offensive linemen. Emory Jones is unproven. Probably going to be better than what they had last year. You got to let Falalele and Voorhees walk. Roger Rosengarten, hopefully he can regain his form of last year. But it's hard to bank on that. That's the thing. It's really hard to bank on that. You bank on development, it can kill you and this comp pick formula that the Ravens use, we don't need 11 draft. The Ravens do not need 11 draft picks on their roster that aren't, and when 3/4 of them won't even make the active 53-man roster. Give up some of them picks. Take a swing. Try to get Max Crosby. If you can't get Max Crosby, try to land A.J. Brown. Throw in Rashad Bateman. Throw in a second-round pick. Trade him to Philly for A.J. Brown. Get Lamar, that big number 1 receiver on the outside that can go up and win a 50-50 ball. Pair him with Zay Flowers. And then it doesn't matter with Isaiah likely leaving in free agency. It won't matter with Bateman being gone. Because Devontae Walker's there to get some more touches. And every time he touches the ball, something big seems to happen. Maybe you bring back a DeAndre Hopkins as your number 3. He needed to be utilized more. You extended Andrews. I don't really quite agree with that. Would have much rather had Likely, but according to what's been reported, the Ravens tried to offer him top 5 money, and he turned it down. We'll see what he gets this offseason. Likely won't be in Baltimore from what we're hearing. But yeah, it's just, and Derrick Henry's still Derrick Henry. Then you have Keaton Mitchell, who's re-emerging. Justice Hill, they could, Rasheen Ali, one of them could be a cap cut. I honestly would keep Justice Hill until the wheels fall off because he has proven to be very useful at times. And then you build in the trenches on the defensive end. Like I said, Nnamdi Madubuike did cryptically tweet for the first time in a few years recently, good news. And then he cryptically tweeted a day or two later or retweeted something where it said, it was just in, I'm paraphrasing here, quitting's hard, giving up is hard, and moving forward is hard. They're both equally hard. Choose one. So I hopefully, knock on wood for his sake and for the sake of the Ravens defensive front, Nnamdi can make his way back. But I've been beating the desk on this train since the injury happened. It was an undisclosed neck injury. We saw this with Zach Orr. Maybe I have a little bit of delusional optimism right now, but I think his playing days are over. I do, if I'm just being honest. Hopefully I'll be proven wrong. I think there's a chance I could be, but it's a small chance. Because there's just been so long, and they've had so many chances to address it, and nothing's changed. Eric DaCosta, Harbaugh, when he was still here, nothing's changed, and Nnamdi hasn't announced anything himself. And we won't know until then, and he's really got to let them know something soon so they can try to work around his cap hit as well. Because you have to rebuild and try to find another Nnamdi Madubuike. It's not, they don't fall off trees in the draft. Can't get that fortunate every time. And we all know Eric DaCosta hasn't gotten that fortunate in recent years. So, a lot of early offseason, early decisions that need to be made are going to affect the Ravens' entire offseason. And I'm going to listen to it. You have to get Lamar extended. Then you have to extend Linderbaum. I'm sorry, that has to be number 2. It could be number 1 because they still do technically have Lamar under contract. They could do what Steve Bisciotti said and throw some money in void years. Okay, so Linderbaum 1, Lamar 1A. We'll go with that. And then, after that, you have to decide what you're going to do with Zay Flowers. Are you going to pick up his option? You're going to extend him? Is he worth $30 million a year? He's had back-to-back seasons of 1,000-plus yards, 1,200 yards, and 6 touchdowns this year. He did have some issues with fumbling. And there's been times where he's been a little inconsistent, so I don't know. All I do know is that there's a lot pending on these early free agency moves because, like I said, you have to make a splash this offseason. Something. Like I said, you have to try to get Max Crosby. That'd be the golden jewel. Get Max Crosby, and then you can live without getting an A.J. Brown. If they could get both. I doubt that. I highly doubt that. There's no way in hell that's happening. You get one of those two. And then if you can't get Max Crosby and you do get an agent, maybe you sign Trey Hendrickson. I know he's not Max Crosby, but he's still a name and he's still productive when healthy. Because you have to have some game-wrecking pass rusher. Mike Green has not proven to be that yet. Who knows what he'll be? With Jesse Minter there, we saw Dafe away. but they have to beef up there. They have to beef up in the trenches. Teddy Buchanan, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, is he going to come back and be the same guy that he was progressively turning into? Is it going to be one of those one-off years like, like some of the offensive linemen had in 2024, or at least half seasons, I should say? I don't know. But all I do know is that it is a breath of fresh air to see a new coaching staff with a different direction and a different mindset. And I loved that Jesse Minter in his first press conference laid it out. We are going to focus on being our best at the end of the year when our best is required. So, last topic of the day. Like I said, it's going to be a short show. It's just we're working out the kinks here in terms of the format. I do appreciate you all bearing with me. Much delayed Super Bowl reaction. Seahawks beat the Patriots 29-13, claiming Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara. Obviously, the Seattle Seahawks cap off a dream regular season, dream playoff run in which the offense did not commit a single turnover. And ultimately, former Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Mack, in just his second year as head coach of the Seahawks, leads them to Super Bowl glory. First ever defensive play calling head coach to do so. And man, was it I wish, I was hopeful that some way, somehow, the media could vote on a coach to be the Super Bowl MVP. I know it's not possible, but Mike Macdonald coached us a clinic. He coached his ass off. In fact, he coached circles around Mike Vrabel, the coach of the year. That was a defensive masterclass by Mike Macdonald, and Sam Darnold didn't need to be NFC Championship game Sam Darnold this time. Just don't turn the ball over and make a timely play, and that's what he did. He played the game he needed to play. But that game didn't need to be that impressive because the Seahawks defense was on another planet. Those secondary blitzes and the timing of them and the disguise, oh, man. Makes me miss what the Ravens had in 2023. The year where the Ravens actually became the only team in EVOA and DVOA, both categories on both sides of the ball. The Ravens were the only team, because Seattle did that this year and they won the Super Bowl too, to not win the Super Bowl. They lost in the conference championship game. That only under John Harbaugh can that happen. But Mike Macdonald goes to the Seahawks, turns them around in year 2, trades off Geno Smith, goes with Sam Darnold, saw what he could do in Minnesota, brings him over to Seattle. Clint Kubiak coached his ass off this year too, got himself a head coaching job. And the Seahawks reigned supreme. And honestly, looking back this year, I said the Rams might have been the best team, but Seattle was the cream de la crop, and they have their second Super Bowl. And who knows? Maybe this is the start of a new Seattle era. And well, I almost said dynasty, but I don't know if I think there's too much autonomy in the league right now for a team to be winning back to back anymore. I think those Kansas City days are over. But Mike Macdonald, man, Ravens fans, we say that he's the one that got out the one that got away. And he honestly is, but the organization was not going to fire John Harbaugh after taking him to the AFC Championship game for the first time since 2013. They just weren't. Even though it was massively disappointing and honestly one of the biggest chokes in recent sports history, you couldn't blame them. They weren't going to do it. Now, hindsight's 2020, but I'm just so happy for him. So happy. And a defensive play caller showed you what he could do. In year 2, turned this team around, and he didn't have an elite quarterback at his disposal. He did this with Sam Darnold. The year before that, it was with Geno Smith. And they were a pretty damn good team the year before that as well. So, I don't know what else more you can say. Congrats to the Seahawks. Congratulations to Mike Macdonald. We'll see what they look like next year on offense with Clint Kubiak going to the Raiders. But it was such a great moment to see him walk on the field and the camera was panning on him and he just glanced up at the confetti wall. I mean, those are the moments as a sports fan that you live for. And ultimately, as a Ravens fan, I hope that one day will come for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. I'm hopeful. We'll see. But Thank you all for tuning into this impromptu episode of the Cory. Well, not really impromptu. This makeup episode, I should say. Like I said, we have new website that's going to be launched by the end of the week. New merchandise coming out. A new program that we're actually going to be launching here at Sanding Media, and we're going to have a lot more that you guys can participate in. Patreon's going to be coming up. A lot more stuff that you can contribute to the growth of this program and the growth of this company. So, if you all are just now tuning in, please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe, hit that bell button to get notified of when we drop our daily live content. We're live Monday through Thursday, 7:30 Eastern Time to 9 Eastern Time. Obviously, we didn't make that time slot today, but we definitely will in the future. So thank you for tuning in. I'm Cory Sanding, and I will see you all tomorrow.